Mazz's Tears.
The second tier. Hold on, let me get my pen.
Mazz's Tears.
Dallas. Buffalo. Tennessee.
Mazz's Tears.
Third tier. Okay, here we go. Hold on, let me get my pen.
Mazz's Tears. Tears. Tears.
Mazz's Tears are brought to you by the Bernardi Automotive Group. Come into any of Bernardi's 5 locations and save big during their Slam Dunk sales event. Whether it's a new Audi, Acura, Honda, Toyota, or Volvo, Bernardi has the perfect vehicle for you and always at a great price. Mazz, what do we got this week?
Okay, so we've been with Biggest Chokes by Boston teams. Some of these are going to be self-evident. And I did take, well, I'm going to hold that thought. We're going to start with Tier 3, which is, the least of the biggest chokes, if you will. We'll work up to the biggest as we go up.
And the impetus here is that if the Celtics lose to the Knicks in the second round, it's a gag.
Yep, and it's a big one. We'll get to that momentarily.
All 5 games, you have held double-digit leads in the third quarter. In 4 of the 5, you had 20-point leads in the third quarter.
Right, and in fact, I think it's a minimum of 14-point leads in all 5 games.
All 5 games you've led by double digits deep into the third quarter, and you're going to lose this series. Gag if you lose this series.
If you lose this series. That's a big if.
Go ahead.
Okay, we're going to start with Tier 3, and I actually took the liberty of putting these in chronological order this week. A little extra work. How about that? It really didn't take much. It was laziness in the other weeks. 2004 Bruins, they were up 3-1 against the Canadiens. They blew that series. They lost in 7 games. They finished first in the division that year. A lot of people don't remember this choke, including me, so go, Mike.
First place in their division, 104 points. This was probably Joe Thornton's best year, or kind of like the height of the Joe Thornton Bruins era, if you will. He had only 73 points on the year, but almost a point-a-game guy. Joe Thornton, Glenn Murray, this was that team. They were up 3-1 on the Montreal Canadiens. Mike Sullivan was your coach. So good coach, franchise player, 3-1 on Montreal. Lose 3 straight, including, of course, Game 7 at home.
I think anytime you're a first-place team and have a 3-1 lead in the series and you lose, it should be considered a choke. Like, that's automatic. 2006 Patriots. This is a tough one to put on there, but nonetheless, against Indianapolis, the AFC title game.
Tough one to put on there.
Okay, so I was going to say, Murray, because their defense wasn't very good that year. They were kind of banged up, but I'm glad you agreed. Wasn't the lead 24-7?
No, it was 24-3.
24-3. In that game against Indianapolis, they led and ended up losing the game. That was a killer. Obviously, the Colts went on to win the Super Bowl. It was there for the taking that year for the Patriots.
That game was the real Super Bowl.
It really was the real Super Bowl. Yes, absolutely. 2010 Celtics to the L.A. Lakers.
Brutal.
And you would say, well, wait a minute. Game 7 was in L.A. The Celtics had a 13-point lead late in that game.
They were up 3-2 in the series as well.
Yes, they were up 3-2, and they went and lost both games in L.A. That would have been the second title for the Garnett group. In fact, they only ended up with 1, which was a bit of an underachievement. They thought they were going to get more.
The Perkins injury changed everything.
In true green team fashion, that's where you go. Because, the green teamers.
I'm not one of them.
You just acted like one. You can't actually
just pointing out a fact.
You can't lose. But it's everyone, because this is what you've been conditioned to here in Greenland. Well, it's a Perkins injury. And believe me, I love Kendrick Perkins. Maybe my favorite Celtic of all time. If Garnett's the all-time player you're talking about, you win 1 of 2 out in Los Angeles. But no one thinks of it that way. It's all about the injury. So that's why green teamers never have a bad day.
They should have won that series.
That starting lineup's never lost a series. Yeah, go blow it out your ass, Doc.
I mean, again, look at if you were to go and look at the fourth quarter of that Game 7, the Celtics really kind of fell apart. And also, I put on the list the 2022 Celtics versus Golden State.
Yes.
They were up 2-1 in that series, about to go up 3-1 at home, and their lack of experience really worked against them. So the reason why it's not higher is they were still relatively young in the grand scheme of things of the NBA timelines, but that is a series they should have won, and they gave it away. Tier 2. Everybody ready for Tier 2?
Let's do it.
Okay, there was one, we've done this list in the past. But there's one I moved off of the top tier into Tier 2, and that's the 1978 Red Sox. The Red Sox that year were up 14.5 games.
Mazz.
Yes.
This is ridiculous.
That it's off of Tier 1?
Yes.
Okay, I'll tell you why I did it when we get to Tier 1. But the Yankees, the Red Sox, this really should be tier 1.
This is atrocious.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
this is an insult
This
to
is
a
an
certain
all-timer.
generation.
This is horrible.
So the reason I put them in tier 2
You're choking.
is because I'm choking myself, Jimmy. That is
No,
absolutely
you
true.
choked on your tears.
So the reason I put it in tier 2 is that the Red Sox did win their final 8 games of the season to force the playoffs.
Oh, neat. Yep, exactly. Jimmy's elbow is twitching again.
And they lost 5-4 to a very, very good Yankee team, a great Yankee team.
Oh, my God.
Man.
So we put it in tier 2. 2003 Red Sox, the Grady Little game goes without saying.
Second tier?
Second tier.
Second tier.
Second tier.
Second tier.
No, tier 1 is a special tier.
Mazz, the Grady Little game was second tier.
Second tier.
Maz.
Mazz, what's the matter with you?
We need an intervention now.
2011 Red Sox, chicken and beer, tier 2.
Those first, this is like more pro
What?
Yankee
This is
stuff.
this is all tier 1 stuff.
Chicken and
Well,
beer is a
I-
tier 1 failure.
I
They
can't
went 9
put
and 21
everything in
September.
tier 1.
9 and 21.
I can't put everything in tier 1, otherwise there would be no tier 2.
Let me hear tier 1 before.
Well, you get mad when I don't have a tier 2.
Does John Henry storm the studio for tier 2?
So
this
now I create a tier 2, and now I have too many tiers.
And you effed it up, yeah. Yep. That's
It
exactly
feels
what
to me
you
like
did.
you guys are going to bitch no matter what.
Well,
That's what we do. That's the show, Maz.
This is egregious.
I don't like being on the other side of it.
We know.
2017 Patriots, the Malcolm Butler game. Gag.
Okay, I'm with
Epic
you.
gag.
I agree that this is tier 2, not tier 1. They never led in that game. I mean, it was a bad decision, but it's not like they gave away a big lead or
The Eagles were a good team.
Eagles came to play that day no matter what.
2018 Bruins versus Blues, tier 2. Again, should they have won the series? Yes. Game 7 at home. But the bottom line is the Blues were also a very good team.
Blues
that
were
year.
better.
Very physical. They beat the Bruins.
Played better anyway.
2023 Celtics versus the Heat.
Yes.
Down 3-0, they force a Game 7, but there's no way that series should have gone 7 games in the first
Hey,
place.
that's too high.
It's too high. It's a tier 3 choke.
Really? Okay.
I wouldn't even have it on there. They were down
Stu,
3-0.
next week we're going to do Murray's and Felger's tears.
All right, let's see this.
Look, I mean, I want to
this
hear tier 1 now.
here.
Okay,
This better
tier
be
1.
good.
1979 Bruins, too many men on the ice.
Gag.
It's an all-timer. It's an identity type of defeat. Again, that's one that is stuck with the franchise forever. Once it gets once it gets a name that was the too many men on the ice, then you know it's tier 1. 86 Red Sox goes without explanation. The Bill Buckner game. 2007 Patriots, again, no argument. Perfect season down the drain. 2010 Bruins, up 3-0 over Philadelphia. They had some injuries, but honestly, who cares? You're up 3-0, you can't lose. 2023 Bruins.
Ooh.
It's a tier 2.
Why is that tier 2?
That's like
It was just
They're up 3-1.
I know.
They had the best team in the league.
best record in the league. As the Bruins like to do,
They had 135
that
points.
pointless record.
it was another
that
year where they
overrated team.
overachieved in the regular season, just to have it all come back to water reaches its level when it matters. That's a tier 2 choke 2020.
I stand with Maz on this one. They were also up 3-0 in the game.
Yep.
No, you're talking about 2010. 2010, they were up 3-0,
Yeah.
3-0.
That's tier 1.
That I will allow for. That first Panthers loss is tier 2 or tier 3.
This
Okay.
stupid 23 Bruins team, please.
And I took the editorial license, the liberty, to assume that the Celtics are going to lose. Celtics versus Knicks. This is a tier 1 loss.
Tier 1?
Tier 1.
This is on the level of the 79 Bruins and Bill Buckner and the 07 David Tyree. Yet this is on the order of that?
Yes, it is. There's a championship at stake here. What did we say about the Celtics after opening night this year? Do you remember what we said?
60 wins.
70.
Yeah.
We were talking
right.
about 70.
Yeah.
Okay? They looked like a freaking wagon. They had everybody back. They did not bring back this whole roster, this whole team to get to the second round and lose to the Knicks. That was never the goal. That was never the objective. The whole thing was about another title. If they get to the finals and lose to an Oklahoma City team that set a record, maybe you could argue it. But the Knicks, and don't give me Jason Tatum, they were down 3-1 in the series basically when he got hurt.
This has been my point.
So this is tier 1, whether people want to admit it or not.
Do you want to hear some tier 1 facilitation? Tier 1 talk show host doing his job?
In your opinion?
Here's a question for you. What's going to go down as the bigger choke? This series, Celtics-Knicks. If the Celtics lose or the Knicks lose? Think about that for a second. What's the bigger choke? Who's going to go down, and how's it going to go down as a bigger choke job? And I want to pick this up on the other side.
So I already have an answer for you, but I'll hold it.
It ties very much into your Celtics Kendrick Perkins thing. Celtics fans, because they never have a bad day, they can't just have lost or have choked. It's about an injury. So that 2010 Lakers loss was about Kendrick Perkins, not the fact that they blew a 13-point second-half lead. No one even remembers it because they've been conditioned not to. When a green team, a Celtics fan goes to bed at night, the dad, as he's telling him his bedtime stories, and tells him how we should have had a second in 2010, but Perkins got hurt. Never mentions the fact that even without Kendrick Perkins, they were leading double digits in the second half. It's just not how green teamers are raised. A Bruins fan, they leave out the Stanley Cup and just focus on the 3-0 lead to the Flyers. That's the difference. But, so, that's a digression. What's a bigger choke? You losing this Knicks series or the Knicks losing this series?